Hey, thanks for watching today. This video is a little different than our usual content. I promise it's not an April Fool's joke. This is actually April 1st, but this is a question we're getting a lot about recently is how do the Alabama parcel numbers work? And these are those parcel IDs you see on the auction advertisements or maybe at the state when you're looking at over-the-counter inventory or a land bank. The number looks different. Different on the GIS side, it's different on the property records, and it's even different formats depending on what county you're talking about. And then there's even other numbers that are not parcel IDs. So we're going to go through those account numbers, PIN numbers, various things like that. This is timely because the auction season in Alabama just starting, but year round. I mean, if you're investing in Alabama, this is good information for you to know. Like if you're calling a certain office, what number to reference and how to most efficiently deal with getting information about properties. Uh, I'm kind of saving the good news for the end of the video, but the spoiler alert is that Parcel Fair handles this for you, but it's still good to know what you're talking about if you're going to be calling a county or state or land bank and wanting to know more information. So let's dive right in. We're going to just talk about how are these parcel numbers constructed. I'm starting with the very basic one from Etowah County. This is a number that's formatted with all the segments and all the pieces. And just right from the top, we have number 31 as the county number. This number 31 represents Etowah, but this is a state issued county code. It is not the federal FIPS code, so don't try to use the federal FIPS code here. You want to use the state code, which is 31. Second up, we have number 15 here is the township number. It's just an indicator for the township it's in, same as the next one is the area number 05, section number 21, quarter section number 1, the map block number is triple zeros, and then the parcel number at the bottom, they call it that, that's really confusing, but the actual parcel number is the last 6 digits with a dot in the middle. Simple enough, right? But let's talk about why it's not simple. That county number state code that's issued for the county is only used really by the state, but the only time you're going to see it is the Alabama Department of Revenue. If you're dealing with the county or other places like that, don't worry about that prefix. And I just thought of one exception. Land banks actually do typically include it. The Birmingham Land Bank does. So we have these numbers for you, but again, dealing with the county straight up, you do not want to include the 31 prefix. The area number, depending on the county, you might have a leading zero or you might not. Sometimes that will be 05, sometimes it will be 5. We'll talk about that some more later. And one more exception to the rule, Mobile County sometimes throws triple X's at the end or X's to replace zeros for the last few digits. I haven't seen any other county that does this. I don't know why Mobile does it, but there's a workaround we'll go through in a minute if you're working with Mobile as well. They have another identifier that's shorter and better to use if you're calling the county to ask about a property. So let's talk about these different variations. We've got that example we gave. The state version is going to remove the spaces and remove the dots. So it does include that 31 county prefix. And sometimes when you see a property listed by the state and the Department of Revenue, they add additional zeros to the end. So in Parcel Fair, this is something we deduplicate these for you. We try to figure that out and understand what the underlying property actually is so we can take the zeros off. So yeah, the Department of Revenue is going to track using this number, but side note for later in the video, they also use a CS number to simplify tracking. Definitely want to use that number if you're going to call the county. I'm going to talk about that more later in the video. And as I mentioned, excuse me, earlier, most land banks use a similar number to the state. From what we see in land banks right now, they do include the prefix for the 31, the county code. But they sometimes play with the zeros at the end without warning. So we'll show you a workaround for that too in a minute. Same number, the county version, of course, as you probably guessed, as we remove the 31 at the very least and keep the other formatting. But so now it starts with number 15 because when you're talking with the county, they know what county you're talking about. They don't need you to say county number 31, so they just drop it off of their records. But depending on the county website or the county office, you're going to see these variations, and this is going to overwhelm you, but good news is coming. There's one with spaces and dots. There's one with spaces and dots where they remove the leading zero on that second number. Sometimes there's dashes where you have to use a dash in the search if you're typing this in. And sometimes there's just the number, no dashes, no dots. And anyways, that's a few of the variations that we've seen in the wild, just to show you what you might have to do if you're searching on county sites without Parcel Fair. Okay, so on that note, let's take a sample Jefferson County parcel ID. I'm switching counties on you. This is going to be a 01 is now the prefix. That's the state full parcel ID right there. So 01 is the first two digits. What we're going to do is talk about what number would you use if you're searching all of these different sources at the bottom, or what are you going to see in the wild if you're browsing through these sites? So right off the bat, the auction advertisement for Jefferson this year is going to be on govies.com. They're going to use that dashed and dotted parcel number without the state, I'm sorry, without the county's prefix that the state uses. So no 01 at the beginning. Department of Revenue is going to use the full number, but I'm telling you, if you call them and ask about a property, which I don't necessarily recommend, they don't have a lot of time. They're busy making price quotes, but if you absolutely must call and ask about a property, please be efficient and courteous with their time and use the CS number, which is typically the 8-digit number. Sometimes on their website, you might see it as a 4-digit number, but use the 8-digit at least because it helps them identify the county, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. If you're talking to a land bank, which is actually the city, remember this is not the county, you're talking to the city now, you can use that full state parcel number, but we also track in Parcel Fair an account number that's shorter. It looks like it's typically 8 digits. You can use that and reference the property much quicker. Unless you're filling out a form that asks for the parcel number, I would try to use that account number. If you're searching the GIS site for the county, and specifically Jefferson in this case, I told you every county is going to be different, but at Jefferson, you cannot search for the parcel ID in their GIS map site if you include dashes or spaces or dots or the county prefix. It will not work. You must remove the county prefix, remove the dashes, remove the dots, remove the spaces, and use this number that you see here. But if you're going to search on the property tax records site, which is also the same county, same IT department, they're going to use the parcel number with spaces in it and a dot, but no dash. So if you're not confused yet, then you're much smarter than me. But anyways, then and just a little backstory. When we started Parcel Fair, we made this tool. We started developing in 2017. We started using it 2018, debuted to the public in 2019 with just Alabama. This was already baked into our system. We already had all this figured out and working for you. So a lot of you have never come across this. If you knew just to trust the system and go with when we link to a source, we're going to pick the correct number for you. So, this may have never been an issue for you, but now that we're dealing with all these sources with the auction and the county and the state and the city, it's good to know if you call the county or the state and they say, we don't know what you're talking about with this number, you might need to understand what number they care about. So, little sidebar there, but let's go ahead. We're going to talk about what is a CS number. I've mentioned it a couple times in this video already. Our example, it's an 8-digit number. I'm going to show you the property here in a minute. Whoops, let's go to it. There we are. The CS number is what the state calls a certificate of sale number. It's 8 digits, or sometimes we've seen more, but this number is used to identify the properties in the over-the-counter inventory. That's the main purpose for this number. If you want to call and ask about a property in the OTC inventory, if you're waiting on a deed, if you're waiting on a price quote and have to call, this is the number you want to give them. And I just said that, but here's the part in the slide. I put it in green. It's preferable because the number's a lot smaller. You can read off 18 to 20 digits to them, and they're not going to be happy. Or you can just read the 8-digit number. Now, here's how this number's broken out. It identifies the property, but it also identifies the auction year in the county. So, right off the bat, 01 is the county code. The first 2 digits. This is the state-issued county code, not the federal FIPS code. Don't use the FIPS code when you talk to the state. Different government. The second 2 digits are the 2-digit year of where the sale occurred, but the auction, they just didn't sell the property. So in this case, the property was literally literally went to auction in 1991, and it's still in inventory. So 91, yes, I know Y2K. If this inventory ages out long enough, they could have a serious Y2K issue here where, let's just say the year 2091 comes around. They try to issue the same CS number. It's going to be 01913788. It's going to say, wait a minute, we still have that property from 100 years ago. Anyways, it's a long shot, but yeah, 2-digit years. We learned our lesson in the 90s not to use that, but here we are using them in 2025. The last 4 digits is just a unique number identifying the property. You'll notice that that's 4-digit in this case. That's 10,000 possibilities. If an auction had more than 10,000 leftovers, this number gets bigger. So if they issue whatever for whatever reason a larger number, you can see a CS number longer than 8 total digits. So again, why am I telling you this? Um, you really want to know about the CS number if you're going to talk to the state because they care about this number more than the parcel number. It helps them in their system save a lot of time. So good news is you don't have to track all these variations, but you might want to understand that they exist. So not that you can forget everything I just told you, but we're going to go ahead and look at how this looks in Parcel Fair. So let me start off with that parcel. We were just looking at Etowah County. You'll notice we put in the property report at the very top, we use the most common known parcel number, which is the county's number. You're going to see this. This is what they're going to have in probably the GIS site and places like that. You can see the CS number here later on in the parcel. We track it right here. In other states, the CS number can mean other things. We treat it as a certificate number or certificate of sale. Some states treat it as like the lien auction number or so yeah, this field can be different uses in different states, but in Alabama it is the certificate of sale. You'll notice Etowah uses a PIN number as well. So that's something behind the scenes. We find the PIN number and use it for you, and I'll show you how. You'll notice we link out in our research links to this property record report, and we're going to inject that PIN number right here in the URL for you to look up the correct property. So you don't have to know that this system uses a PIN number because we did it for you. If you're going to go look at the GIS system, it also is going to use the PIN number. So we're going to go ahead and just take you straight to that property using that PIN number 41752 in the URL right there for you. So another case where we handle it for you. If we go to the auction button here, we have an Etowah auction coming up. GovEase is listed the parcel using that format. And if we go look at the postings, you'll notice that actually they have dashes in this part of the parcel number. You'll notice the 31 state prefix is missing. So that's a different a way of tracking it that you can use. So a lot of ways to track these numbers, but that's the Etowah parcel. Let's jump to the Jefferson parcel I showed you. This was Land Bank. You'll notice the account number right here, 408-593997. We track that behind the scenes for you, so you don't have to know about it. But when you go to the land bank and click the application, notice that that's the number we inject into the URL to take you to the correct property at the land bank, so you don't have to figure it out. Let's move on down the page. We have the CS number right here, 0112. This is that means we know county 01 and year is 12. So sure enough, 2012 was the year that this tax deed skipped auction and went to over the counter inventory. Lastly, you can see on the property details report, this is where I mentioned property records in our spreadsheet a minute ago. There's a different parcel ID used here. And of course, the GIS site, if we go here, I'm just going to take our parcel number. Let's take the one that was used on the here on the county property records site. We're going to try to search for it by that number, and you'll notice it does not come up with anything because when we look up these records for you, we go ahead and do this, but you got to take the spaces out. You have to take that period out, and if there's a leading zero or county number, you're going to take it out. But now, hey, we have the property because we know the format. When we go get this GIS mapping data for you, we do that for you. You don't have to work through that. Okay, so I'm going to show you Mobile because we have a big auction that just got announced in Mobile. And, oh, whoops, I skipped one. Here's that 1991 property. Just so you know it actually exists. It went delinquent in 90, skipped auction in 91, has a CS number right here. If you call the county to ask about your price quote or if you're waiting on a deed on this, use this number, CS number. Don't read this number off to them at the top because it's too short. They won't know because they need the county prefix. So save them the trouble and just give them the CS number to begin with. If you really want that county number, though, we track. This is so deep, guys. I'm sorry. On the page, we have a parcel number panel further down where we put that massive raw number, is what we call it, the county. I mean, that's the state number with that county prefix. We even break out what I showed you, county number, township, area, section, quarter. If you want the individual pieces and parts, there they are. And at the bottom of the screen, if that's not enough, here are all the various formats that we use behind the scenes of this parcel number to bring you the information we show you. We go to great lengths to give you a lot of different, track these variants so you don't have to. But you'll notice this first column, all of them have a prefix of the county, and then the rest of them don't. So again, I've told you you're going to have more information in this video than you ever wanted to know about parcel numbers, but that's not all. Let's go for Mobile County because they have yet another system. So 10,095 parcels in Mobile. About 9,000 of those are auctioned. About 1,000 of them are over the counter right now. Let's dig in. If you are familiar with Parcel Fair, you'll know that these yellow outline properties, these are auction. These blue ones are over the counter. In particular, these blue ones are tax deeds over the counter. If you see these green ones in the mix, those are tax liens over the counter. You literally have all three of those to buy right now in Mobile from various sources, which means you need to know how to reference the parcel. Let's check out the tax lien over the counter first. When you go to buy this property on our purchase option, click the green button and we tell you which parcel number to use. If you're going to talk about this parcel to the county, because you have to call the county to buy the over-the-counter lien, use this version right here. End of story. That's how the county will know what you're talking about. If you are trying to link to the property report card, you don't have to search for it because we have the link right here on the side. We save you the steps. You click on it. You'll notice we put that 802-974 number in the URL because that's the PIN number, or some people call it the account number. It's a shortcut that Mobile uses because, I mean, my guess is that the parcel numbering got out of hand maybe with these X's and sometimes they're zeros. And so maybe this is just simpler for the counting. They invented this number. And so I like to use it too. It saves you the trouble of searching. County GIS, same story. We're going to inject that 802-974 number, take you to the property, and you don't have to figure it out. You don't have to search. It's already found the property for us. There it is. It took it a second, but it found our property. So again, Parcel Fair saved you the trouble, and that's hey, this is interesting. We have two tax liens here you could potentially buy from the county, 2 different years that are available over the counter. Moving on, this one is available in the upcoming tax lien auction. So we already covered what those auction numbers look like, but just as a reminder, on GovEase you're going to see this number. And so that in this case they did not use the dashes. Sometimes they do. And I think it pretty much covers all of the properties. This is an over-the-counter inventory with the state. Oh yeah, if you're trying to apply at the state, click on the button on our site. If you click Continued Alabama Application, guess which parcel number we use to find it? Well, we actually use the CS number to find it, that 02091. However, you'll notice on the application page, there's our raw parcel number, that big fat number with the 02 prefix for Mobile County. So yet again, a different parcel number that we handled behind the scenes for you. So yeah, if you didn't figure out the point of this video yet, it's good to understand that there are different parcel numbers, so you can't just throw a number at the county or the state and expect them to know what you're talking about. It's good to know which one. If you're talking to a county source, I would recommend, like Mobile, you would use the PIN number, just to be brief. If they don't know that, use that number at the top of our report. That's a good one to use. And if you're dealing with the state, I would use the CS number. But if you absolutely just want to use their long parcel number, it's right here on the page, raw number right there. So I hope this was helpful to you. This is something we've covered, it just kind of scattered over videos over the years. I wanted to put it all in one place. And if you don't use Parcel Fair, no hard feelings. You can use this video to understand how to calculate your own parcel numbers for whoever you're talking to. And yeah, so I hope that this is useful for people that use Parcel Fair and people that don't. So thanks for watching, and have a great week.